Well, thanks for joining us again. This is Newspaper Review on VOP Television. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I am Chukwuma Okoro. Thanks for joining us again.
And of course, Nonso Emecheta stays back with us. Nonso, thank you very much.
Nice to be here.
And a big thanks also to Dr. Bright Inovakuko, who joins us virtually as well. Dr. Bright, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're still here waiting.
All right, now, so let's dive into it. The wait is over, so let's go into it now. We have the papers here, but before we get into these conversations, I'd like for us to look at the headline. I think this trended sometime last week, that some lawmakers want elections held the same day. Elections for the presidential elections and the governorship elections, everything held the same day. Gentlemen, well, some have said this is if passed into law, if this sees the light of day, to be the way to go in electioneering in Nigeria, because we know the impact the presidential election has on the governorship election and other elections. How do you react to that headline?
It's actually a welcome development. I actually endorse that. If that is going to happen, for me, I think, if you look at the way our election is being structured, for instance, the presidential, everybody wants to wait to know who emerges as a president first. Then after the presidential election, the person that emerged victorious will now determine how the state house of assembly state houses of assembly election and the gubernatorial will pan out. So you see people, just because of the fact that let's say APC has won at the center, you see them tilting towards APC, even when the APC candidate in the state is not the best for them. So what they do is that they first of all look at, it's better we have government at the center, because if we are not aligning with the center, we might not be getting the national goodies and all that. So if it can be gazetted, if they can make a law, pass a law that will allow all the elections to hold on one day, so that time you vote regardless of who emerges the president afterwards. So it's the best way to go.
Okay, if they can't do that, what if the election start from the House of Assembly? The turning
bottom up,
bottom up approach, like House of Assembly, House of Representatives, Senate, governorship, then presidential. Apart from making political sense, I think it's all and democratic sense. It also makes economic sense.
Yes.
That if you have
elections are held the same
logistics, logistically.
Yeah. Yes.
Because if you have to mobilize for presidential elections and National Assembly, then after 1 week or 2 weeks, you spend the same amount of money to remobilize again.
Yes.
Soldiers are drafted, policemen are drafted,
And
INEC, NT, National Union of Road Transport Workers, and all of that. But if you're able to collapse all of this into one, it makes sense.
Yes.
Even in terms of in terms of sending out the results. Somebody walks in, you give him the presidential, the Senate, House of, and the person just sticks. So at the point of collation, yes. I think we used to have elections in this manner in this country.
Yeah, but the fear has always been having a bandwagon effect, like we saw in 2023 elections, where some people that may not have been tested or tried in any way got elected into National Assembly.
That's the point.
That is the whole idea. Let's have a new people in the system.
That's what we are saying.
It's good.
At some point, I remember when Fedeco used to conduct elections, I think, on top of my head, if I remember vividly, elections used to be held in one day. So that this bandwagon effect is pushed aside. And before people know it, a winner has already emerged, even at the House of Assembly level, National Assembly level, and all of that. But when you have to conduct the presidential election, like happened in 2023, by the time you get to governorship, and people are like, oh, okay, let's focus on, since everybody, even without voting, governors on their own are saying, Delta State governor said, Akwa Ibom State governor said, another person said, we want to align to the center because we are tired of playing outside the board, So let's get to the center.
That's all right.
I feel that it's a good one, but it will only work if we are using electronic collation, because voting has never been a problem for Nigerians, but collation has been a challenge. So now, if we have the House of Assembly, the governorship, and the National Assembly, and even the presidential election in one day, yes, it will remove logistics that has to do with voting, but it will complicate collation, because at that point you'll be collating different results for different categories of persons at the same time, and if we are not careful, it will be muddled up. Now we are having just maybe like the presidential election being collated. You realize that issues are coming up, results are coming from this place. So where will you put your attention? There will be so much distraction, unless if we adopt the electronic collation system, wherein as soon as you vote, it is being collated automatically. Then you get to the back end and you start announcing. And you must also note that for these elections, like the State House of Assembly election, is going to be, the result will be based on the constituency where each person is contesting. So the result will end there. While the governorship candidate result would get to the state level, and of course that for the federal House of Rep will be at constituency level. The one for the Senate will be at senatorial level. Therefore, you now have the presidency at the national level. You realize that the collation points, there will be so much chaos unless we are using the electoral.
Dr. Bright, you've already done the collation yourself. From what you have done, I don't see where the problem is, because let's do some experimentation here. Each polling unit has 500 maximum of 500 voters, right?
Yes.
Yes. Now you have somebody walks in, you give the person like 5 slips: president, governor, House of Reps, House of Assembly, and Senate. And the person thumbs, bang, 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 bang.
Expecting the same,
at the same time. Yes. And in the process of collating, you say, okay, you separate them. Local House of Assembly, House of Reps, Senate, and all of that.
Same number you expect.
Except you are talking about the moment you vote. If it is electronic voting, not electronic collation, the moment you vote, the thing registered somewhere, bam. But we are not able to manage even electronic transmission now. So how are we talking about electronic voting? But like I said, I recall as a young man, I think the 1979 election held in one day. Okay. On top of my head, I think I'm very correct. And it wasn't much of a problem. Yes. At the end of the day, within 2 or 3 days, Shagari emerged as the winner of the election. So why can't we reenact, now that we even have help in terms of technology to help us do all of that? That's what I think anyway.
Just integrity of the INEC. That's what we need.
With the system, at least in 2019 election, I worked with INEC to supervise some things. You realize that it is not as easy. People will vote. Now, you have 500 ballot papers, for example, 500 eligible voters. You are giving them the ballot papers. If what you just mentioned just now is like maybe, okay, everybody's going to vote along one line. It's not going to be like that. Some will vote for party A, some will vote for party B, some will vote for party C. And you have to sort all of them out separately. And you start collating them. While collation will end at one level, others will move forward. Like I said, voting at the polling unit, announcing results at the polling unit has not been a challenge. But when you start collating at the ward level and local government level and state level, that is where the figures will now start changing. So monitoring those things will become a challenge. But if at the polling units, as soon as the results are gotten, they are entered into the system and automatically it collates, then you can bring out for the various candidates and the various locations. It will be easy. But we've not been using that electronic collation. Like in 2019 election, for example, after the voting, results were being sent from the card reader. But I was shocked that after that, we didn't use the card reader again, and then we came with beavers. And beavers was not even giving room for that collation. So the challenge we have in Nigeria is not the voting, not even the announcing of result at the polling unit, but it has to do with collation. Wherein when you should have entered a figure for it automatically sum, somebody is still using Bible to write a figure and using calculator to be punching in this technological age.
All right then. Well, let's go into other conversations now. Refineries. Let's look at the refineries as published by the Guardian newspaper. It says refineries at Ajaokuta Steel failed revival efforts despite 6.5 trillion naira spent in 10 years. And then looking at the breakdown of it, let's have that one up on the screen. The breakdown of it. NNPC refinery, TAM and debt. Maintenance cost unverified, though. National Assembly, $25 billion. 2013 to 2023, that's unverified anyway. Specific contracts, 2020, $50 million. Port Harcourt, Mare Technimont, current repairs, Port Harcourt, $1.5 billion. Warri and Kaduna, $1.4 billion. Debt, 2023 NNPC audit report. Total, 4.5 trillion naira. Port Harcourt, 1.9 trillion naira, plus 135% from 806 billion naira 2022. Kaduna, 1.3 trillion naira, plus 166% from 487 billion naira 2022. Warri, 1.1 trillion naira, plus 84% from 597 billion naira 2022. And operational costs 2021 to 2024. Annual 68 billion naira. Total 272 billion naira. Staff 2021. Kaduna 660. Port Harcourt 506. Warri 437. All right then. And these are refineries that are really not working, and you have these number of people working there. Okay, 1.4 trillion naira spent on moribund Ajaokuta Steel in 10 years. That's 1.4 trillion naira. This is as published by the Guardian newspaper. Chukuma.
Well, we are back again. I'm surprised that we are talking about, okay, yes. This is 6.5 trillion naira. The other time we talked about $21 billion, you know. Was it billion? No, 18 billion naira, or was it denominated in dollar or
Which
what?
one are we talking about here?
I mean the refineries.
Okay.
When they said they wanted to put them up for sale. You know, after spending like
I think it's $21 million.
No, $21 million is not. It's something that some group of guys put at the back pocket to party in London. I think it's about $21 billion, you know, that has been spent on refineries in the past 10 years. Yet, at the end of the day, we are trying to put them up for sale. Like, I keep saying this. I started as a young graduate. I started my career somewhere in the early part of my career. It was in the oil and gas, and with a service company, you know. And I recall how my company used to bid for turnaround maintenance, you know, and all of that in the Port Harcourt refinery and all of that. And everywhere would be a beehive of activities, you know. Everybody jostling. You see all manner of people, you know. And at the end of the day, you'll be surprised that, look, what's the turnaround maintenance all about? You know, people will put up quotations and all of that. Contracts are awarded and nothing happens. At the end of the day, money exchanging hands, both in naira and dollar component and all of that. And the story I'm giving you is about 30 years ago. Talking about 30 years ago. So if you put all of that together, in fact, the $21 billion they're talking about is just about, they say it's about in 10 years, you know, of the APC administration. We've not even talked about what happened during the PDP 16 years and all of that. So it's a lot. And we keep going back. I keep going back to the issue of the Ajokuta steel mill. The Ajokuta is something that holds the ace to Nigeria's industrialization. If you think of any great economy, if you go back to the Industrial Revolution, it was the steel, the steel structure that powered it. If you go back to Russia, Russia is a big economy today because of their steel. And they're able to produce whatever they do with steel, including their nuclear weaponry and all of that. And look at Brazil. Brazil is, upping their game in terms of development of their steel business. And yet, Nigeria, we have government in and out, from one government to the other, playing politics with the steel industry, Ajokuta, Alaja, and all of that. And every time, they keep sinking money. And the other time, I threw a challenge, and I said, look, if we have tinkered with refineries for more than 30 years and we are unable to get something, and we had one Nigerian in the person of Aliko Dangote come out and say, look, I'm able to build a refinery, and he has done it 650,000 capacity, that if you put together the 4 refineries in Nigeria, it's not even up to half of his own capacity. And he's done it. Now he has left Dangote Cement. He stepped down as chairman of Dangote Cement to concentrate fully on refining business. So why can't we have either 1, 2, 3, or 4, more like a collective of eminent Nigerians, wealthy Nigerians come out to say, look, we want to give the Nigerian economy a befitting steel industry. The raw material is there, the iron ore is there in all parts, in some parts of the country. So why can't we? It will be more like it's going to jumpstart the Nigerian economy. We are talking about manufacturing of cars. We are even talking about manufacturing of weapons, equipment. Look at DICON, Defense Industrial Corporation of Nigeria, that started before the Embraer in 1964. The Embraer of Brazil came up. What happens to be, we are sitting on top of money. In any part of the world, there's a lot of money. If you put that alone into the agri sector, we'll be exporting food. If you put it in the health sector, people will come to Nigeria. I recall that people used to come to University College Hospital in Ibadan from all parts of Africa for Medicare. So what happened to all of that? Quite unfortunate.
We've gone back.
We've gone
backwards in terms of development. Dr. Bright, and you were cooker.
That we spend so much. What individuals do, they get results. It becomes, it kind of beats my imagination that as a country, we cannot do it together. If I have a car and I'm spending so much maintaining that car, yet it's not giving me the efficiency that I want, and I have money somewhere, or I can have access to money to buy a better car that will give me better efficiency and will not waste my time, is it not better off than we keep hearing this turnaround maintenance for refineries that will not even serve the purpose of Nigeria? The emergence of Dangote refinery, that is almost changing is what is dictating the price of fuel in the country now, because if he says he's reducing cost by 100 naira, every other marketer want to start changing and watching their price. Considering the bureaucracy, the bottleneck, and the challenges that the refinery faced, trying to get license and so many other things from the federal government, yet it is out today working and supplying. Why can't Nigeria as a country, if our federal government are actually sincere, if some persons are not using the money that is meant for maintenance to line their pocket, if those professionals and the experts in that area cannot actually say whatever thing we are spending here, the time, the money, and every other thing can be used to get a brand new refinery, then it means the money being earmarked for the so-called turnaround maintenance probably is finding its way into some private pocket. Again, maybe they should even change the name, because I don't know what turning around does not even give the impression of progression. you're just turning around. You could just be in one spot doing nothing. You understand? So just turn around maintenance. I don't even know what it means. We have our steel company there. Since I was growing up, I've heard about the Ajakuta, what did they call it? It has always been there, but yet we still have to be importing and doing so many other things. If we are sincere, the government should be accountable. The money that they are spending on those things, what are those money meant for? Is it for the people who are working there, probably guiding the scrap that are there, or what? We should be sincere with ourselves. There is no sincerity in both the refinery turnaround maintenance and even the steel company where those money are being spent. It's just an opportunity to say, okay, let's settle some people who are in some places.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Also, please.
Yeah, he has actually said a whole lot. When you talk about the Nigerian case, it's like a hydra-headed monster. You are talking about turnaround maintenance. You know that this vehicle, for instance, is gone. You know that these refineries are so old, and you are doing turnaround. So it's an avenue for some people to siphon the money. Our national treasury, that is just it. So it just boils down to lack of political will and sincerity to make this country work. Well, I'm even talking about Dangote, for instance. Why should Nigerians be at the mercy of an individual in terms of refining our crude? Government, that is part of
because the government has failed.
The governmental failure. Because in an ideal situation, it's like Dangote, if he wakes up in the morning and tells you that, you know what, a liter is going to be 2,000 naira, no, everybody, we don't have choice. But the government should be there to cushion the effect of the hardship that the masses are facing. So for me, it's possible if an individual could build and own a refinery. Is it that Dangote is now richer than the entire nation? Is it possible? It's all about lack of political will. Even the Ajaokuta, for instance, I think there is a place I read about Natasha, trying to push,
yes,
this. And it's part of the reason they are trying to, victimize Natasha. When I read that, that means this young lady has a voice for the people. She meant well for her constituents. It's part of the motion she's actually promoting at the National Assembly. And they don't want that motion to see the light of the day because they know that a lot of people are feeding fat from the corruption going on in Ajaokuta. So it's a worrisome situation.
Worrisome situation indeed. Now let's check out some of the headlines here. 2026, Atiku vows to deliver Ekiti governorship to ADC. Falana condemns renaming of Lagos streets. I think we touched a bit on the renaming of
briefly. That was on Banta.
It seemed to have it's gaining traction. Yeah. Before we talk about ADC matters, let's talk a bit about the renaming of streets in Lagos now. Yeah. Over the weekend, Charlie Boy reacted because the Charlie Boy bus stop, the popular Charlie Boy bus stop, has been renamed by the Lagos State Governor to Olamide Bado.
Yes.
Bado bus stop.
It's actually
a lot of other streets as well have been, especially streets that carry
Igbo
names that are not Yoruba names.
Yeah, the one of last week I saw a published list.
Yes.
I think there's one local government now. Is it Jeremy Fellow?
Jeremy.
So exactly. You see a whole lot of Igbo names, especially Igbo people, because it's like a targeted attack on the Igbos. And this is very wrong. We are talking about one Nigeria. We are talking about unity. And you are destroying legacies.
Not just
legacies.
Not just Igbo names now. The Igbo names, that's on one side.
Yes.
In Lagos Island, where you have Macpherson Street and Bodilon streets that portray those that occupy Nigeria before
colonial legacy,
the colonial time. These are things that students learn from.
Yes.
And they are renaming all those streets as well.
Then the one of Bariga is even the one
and
that
not teaching children history.
Yes.
So what will we have in the next 20 years?
So Charlie Boy has been there for the masses. And you know, according to Charlie Boy, when he reacted, he said that the street earned that name Charlie Boy, not politically earned, but by the people, because he has solidarized with the masses for so long. He has been on the streets fighting oppressive regimes over time. So somebody who has sacrificed his life and paid the ultimate price for the emancipation of the masses, and that organically earned him that name. And somebody is coming now because there's a Yoruba, guy who can match him, his contempt, we want to use to kill that legacy. Like Charlie Boy rightly said, he said you can kill the name,
but you can't kill
but you can't kill the legacy. That's
yes, you can. Yes. And if you look at the list, and the added names like Macpherson and all those English names, it's just to create it's more like a smoke screen, just to create impression that there is no ethnic bias.
Targeted at
but if you look at the names fully, you discover that it is targeted at one ethnic group, and Igbos. But unfortunately, I make bold to say this. I have not seen or heard any Igbo of Mains openly say that Lagos is no man's land. Yeah. I have not heard. It could be something that touts say, in motor parks and all of that. It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Has never emanated from the
it shouldn't be something that should create this kind of antagonism. Yes, Lagos has a history. Every other place has a history. And historically, at a point in history, conquests were allowed. If there were a certain set of people that came here first, and they were outnumbered and conquered by a Yoruba stock that are now assumed to be Lagosians, now this place belongs to them. It's as simple as that. But then, in the historical progression of mankind, you know how we have progressed from hunter-gatherers to agriculturalists to society to urban areas, and now we have what we even call metropoles and cosmopolitan cities. Lagos is a cosmopolitan city, and that is what it has come to stay. There are certain things you cannot wish away. That originality will be there. Like, you cannot go to a place like Lagos Island, Isaleko, and say that, look, this place doesn't belong to. It belongs to them. But if somebody from Benin City has come, built a house here, went to the local government and legally acquired land and a name of the street, you cannot, because somebody from Benin, you have a problem with somebody from Benin, you say because of that, you now remove his name. It's not going to happen.
Elections were held at a certain time, and you feel like, okay, the people did not vote for your person, so
you remove all of that.
Wipe off their identity.
And I keep saying, there are traveling Yoruba communities in other parts of the country. If you go to Kano, if you wake up, there's a certain part of Kano that if you wake up around 10 o'clock or 11 in the midnight, you will just think that you're in Lagos. Because it's a Yoruba community thriving. And if you, like I keep saying, if you go to Umuahia, where I grew up, where I schooled, there's an Adelabu street there. Nobody has made any fuss about trying to change it. Even in Enugu, there's still an Adelabu street in Enugu.
You have Tinubu Drive at the airport in Owerri. You have Yaradua Drive in Owerri.
People don't care. People don't care. So what is this thing of changing Igbo names in Lagos Island, in Ifelodo, Jeromi local government, in Anamu, Odofi, and all of it? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So long as Nigeria remains one, you can't stop the Igbo man from coming to Lagos to live and do his business. Just like no Easterner, no Igbo man will stop a Yoruba man. Like I said, there are thriving Yoruba communities in the south. You can't stop them. In the south,
in Calabar, they are in Cross River.
Talk about Port Harcourt, River State. They build houses, they marry with the natives and all of that. But I don't see this thing. There are Yoruba streets in River State. Nobody has tried to change them. So why do this?
Well, with this that the Lagos State government is doing, it might just compel
just whipping up ethnic tension,
just heighten ethnic tension. That's what they're doing, and it's wrong.
Dr. Bright.
If we view from ethnic perception, we too may also be wrong, but we must be able to come up objectively.
Help us with any other perception, please.
And put something straight, in the sense that if I come, like Chukwuma said, he mentioned the Adelabu Street somewhere in Umuahia. If I get to Umuahia now and I see Adelabu Street, for example, I realized that, oh, Adelabu is not a name from this part of the country. I'm interested in understanding why was this place named Adelabu Street. There is a history behind it. Behind every name that you put in a place, it has historical perspective. It has historical information to give. And by the time you just come and change because you want to change it, even the change you are making, definitely it is what happened in the past that is history today, and what happened today will be history tomorrow. So if somebody, you change a name because you want to change a name, and somebody comes and the person is asking, why is this particular name here, and you don't have any backing or whatever to give to them, it becomes a challenge. Let's say, for example, while we were reading in schools, we were counting the Obas of Benin. But at the point of the coronation of this current Oba, by record, it should have been the 40th Oba of Benin. But he did say that no, he's the 41 of the Obas that have come. Why? Because there was one that was not recognized before. He has to recognize it. Why? He's trying to correct history. So every name has history attached to it, and those information would help.
Now, Dr. Bright, it is important to let you understand that there is no reason given for all of these changes. Is it that the Uzo Street somewhere in one part of Lagos, that Uzo was the first man that lived in that street, and he went to the local council and properly legally procured, the name of that. You don't just wake up and name a street after yourself. There's a legal process. There's a government process that you pass through. So what has happened now that has erased that legacy? And let me ask you, will it be proper that if by tomorrow, 2031, 2035, or any of that, you see a northerner coming to government, into office in Abuja, or Buhari people now say, the people that own Abuja now said, now these very fantastic drive, the airport road that has been named after Wole Soyinka, and somebody says, no, we have a more eminent son of Buhari land. Is it not important that we name him after this, and we change the name from that Wole Soyinka Boulevard, to now maybe Abdullahi whatever? How would the Southwesterners feel?
Yeah,
yes. We should think about all of these things.
Yes.
I like the fact that there's a history behind all of these things. Or probably somebody wakes up and say, the Aguiyi Drive in Abuja, we have the more prominent Hausa son, Fulani son that should be named after. What would that? We are trying to build a nation, one nation, unity. It's a difficult thing. But people are making it harder, more difficult for us to get all of that unity that we are looking for. Our fault lines keep widening every day. I understand that there is a concept of politics of identity. But it's not only in Nigeria, it's not only in Africa. Like if you go to UK now, I keep saying, Nigeria is not the only multi-ethnic society. The United States is the most diverse country in the world, but they are able to modulate and moderate their differences. If you go to UK, you have the English, you have the Welsh, you have the Scots, you even have the Irish, but they live together peacefully and all of that. Why can't we do that in Africa here? Why the division? That's the big question.
When I read, over the weekend, the reason for the renaming of the streets, you see ethnicity playing out. Somebody saying that, even Reno Mokri wrote about it, that since the Igbos are saying that they own Lagos, that Lagos is a no man's land, that is high time they made the Igbos believe that Lagos belongs to some people. And it's purely ethnic bias. Which is not, that's what they are saying.
Somebody like Reno, I don't listen to Reno. I don't even mention, I don't even respond
why
to him.
We need to respond to him is that he's misleading people.
It would be proper for him to mention, to name the Igbo man that said that Lagos is no man's land. Can he say that?
If we don't address what Reno has been misleading the unsuspecting Nigerians, especially the gullible ones. And people are following. This is very wrong. That the reason, he was even justifying the name change because of the fact that Igbos are saying Lagos is a no man's land. Now it's time to prove to them that Lagos belongs to, for me, is nonsensical.
All right. Dr. Brach, you still have, I figured you were trying to say something earlier.
Does ownership actually just lie in the name? No. Like in Benin, for example, the first man to build a house in a street has the right of that, as in that street is usually named after that person. And if you want to find out some information about that particular street or that particular area, the man should be able to tell you this was how this place was, this was what we met, these are the things that were here. It helps to give history and information about that place. So if we're having streets being renamed just because you want to prove that a particular area belongs to a certain set of people, these are some of the things that the government of the day should take up very well. If you say you are the owner of a particular place and somebody else is coming to develop that place, where does your ownership lies? Where does the ownership lies? There are some things we are even looking at in some part of Benin. There are some areas that, yes, these places are supposed to even be like historical monuments, but we need to see people do some funny things about it. Why? They want to erase that legacy. Like, for example, now you have a house where somebody was buried. They call it in Benin, they call it Igiogbe. It's like where the family will always meet. Now, when you now see the children coming to exhume the corpse of their father or their mother, going to dump it somewhere just because they want to sell that property, what are they doing? They are erasing legacies. And these are the things that the government of the day should not encourage. Otherwise, after some years, there won't be history.
All right, then. Well, let's go to other conversations now. Let's see some of the papers here. We have This Day newspaper. There's a headline there I'd like us to react to. Now, the headline is, it says, Jerry Ghana, there are plans to woo Peter Obi back to PDP ahead 2027 general poll. We could just have a quick reaction to that one. Man to FG, rebased national GDP expansion of 18.3%, not evidence of economic progress. Insists GDP expansion without industrial growth, hollow statistics. NECA, rebased data brings transparency, aligns with international standards. All right, you could just react to any of.
Okay, now talking about, I think I've held discussions with people in PDP. People at the top in PDP, and they are very hopeful. I don't know what gives them the confidence that P2B will eventually end up in the PDP. It's difficult for me to fathom how that will happen. But they speak confidently to me when I ask questions, and they respond and they say, look, that's his best bet, that he's been shut out, of the ADC, and the Labour Party has also closed its door. And when I asked about the Wike factor,
the Labour Party hasn't exactly closed its door, but the Labour Party has not exactly closed its doors to Peter Obi.
No, they have. See, the Abure faction, the Abure factor in PDP will live beyond 2027.
Labour Party.
Sorry, in Labour Party will live beyond 2027. Abure is not. Abure is just is the front man. He's not the one acting. People are using him, to destabilize the Labour Party.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people believe that the people that are behind him will not let go until after 2027. And if you talk about the ADC, what Bolaji Abdullahi says is more like the optics, public posturing. It's cosmetic. They simply know, everybody knows that. Unless Atiku Abubakar says, look, I am supporting Peter.
That's it.
But he's not going to do that. He's very, very, very mindful of the fact that he wants to become president at any cost. And so let's go back to the PDP. When I asked them about the Wike factor in PDP, they stutter a bit and say, well, we are trying to get done with Wike as a member of the PDP. They also believe that Wike is through. is 1.5 legs, you know, in the APC than in the PDP. And I asked the question, what of the, he's still in control of more like the NWC and the NEC of the PDP. And I said that, look, it's, that there are also, that there's already internal divisions among the NEC, you know, that he's beginning to lose control of the NEC and the NWC of PDP. That is why it wasn't easy for him. You know, they moved the national convention of the PDP to Oyo State, to Ibadan, you know, and he's having problems with Seyi Makinde, you know, and all of that. So they are figuring out that at the end of the day, that Peter Obi might eventually...
But the Samanyangu factor is still there.
If the Samanyangu factor is still there, if Sam becomes minority in the NEC or in the NWC, they are simply going to drown him.
It's very simple. For me, PDP has structure, formidable structure, but they need to get rid of some elements in the party. Somebody like, if they can take over the ownership, full ownership of PDP, and say, you know what, Damagu, all those guys that have been using the likes of Wike and Sam Daddy, if they can get, we have credible guys in. Look at Ikenga Ugochinye. Has been vocal, you know, very articulate young lawmaker. These are people, if they come together, they will rid PDP of all these unscrupulous elements dragging the party down. So for me, PDP is not a bad party.
But as it stands,
yes,
a lot of PDP governors are still moving to APC.
If Obi gets the ticket, even the ones in the coalition, they will come back.
You think they'll come back?
They will ride on his back. Obi has, you know, the kind of integrity and values that anywhere he comes, if there is darkness, he will light up the place. That's Peter Obi for you.
No, the fact remains that it will, okay, Brian, let's hear you.
That's all right. Go ahead.
When I talk, people feel maybe I don't like Peter Obi, or maybe I have something against him. But the other man there, I think he has believed so much in Peter Obi, and probably if you can get access to them, this is my candid advice. APC like distraction. They will keep you be dancing around, and all of a sudden is boom. I've mentioned before, we have less than 2 years to the 2027 election. The only party that appears stable now is the APC. They have a sense of direction, they have a sense of their candidates, and you know, but the other parties, Labour Party is splitted. They are still in court, dancing here and there. PDP is almost like in limbo. ADC, that happens to be the coalition everybody is running into, is still kind of stagnant. So, if in less than 2 years to this election, Peter Obi has not pitched his tent somewhere, automatically the APC that they want to kick out of power would be happy.
So Dr. Brian, what will you advise Peter Obi to do now? What will you advise him to pitch his tent?
For me, Peter Obi has strengths. Peter Obi has strength, because my anger with him in the 2023 election was the fact that the vote he got, the support he got, he could not manage it. He should sit down, consolidate. Since he is the one that the if phenomenon is on, oh, if Peter Obi is this, if Peter Obi is given the opportunity, let him sit down, pitch his tent anywhere that he wants to, that is comfortable for him, and let him start his mobilization from that place. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't see anything that brought Peter Obi and Atiku together in 2019, separated them in 2023.
Okay, by anywhere, if I'm not mistaken, by anywhere you mean anywhere aside from ADC and LP and the PDP? Anywhere else?
Sir, pardon?
By anywhere, by pitching his tent anywhere, do you mean anywhere aside from the Labour Party, anywhere aside from the ADC, anywhere aside from the PDP, any other party?
Yes, because PDP claims they have owners. Wike is a major shareholder in PDP, so he has the key. The faction in Labour Party has their own interest. The big wings that have moved into ADC, they are still wanting to pull their weight. Even some of them, I see them as agents of APC, who will maybe 6 months to 3 months to the election will just say, sorry, I don't believe in this coalition. I'm going back to where I have come from, or rather, I'm coming from. And meanwhile, they have been given a major role to play. Let Peter Obi test the strength of Nigerians. It happened in 2023 when the syndrome of Papa, Mama, Pikin came up, and it changed the narrative. It strengthened everybody, including even the APC, who felt they had so much power. So for me, let him sit down. It could be, let him lead these political parties that their ownership we don't trust. Let him go sit with a party and start mobilizing. Okay. Then people believe in him. We join him there.
Now, Dr. Bright, don't you think that the people that don't want Obi come into office, whether they are is the government, whether there is some form of elite consensus against Peter Obi, don't you think they will still go to that same party, infiltrate it, and cause problem for Peter Obi? And
you see,
before you respond, I'd like for us to get one thing. I speak to people in the APC, you know, high-ranking people in the APC. The impression that Nigerians have that the APC is intact is wrong. There's a lot of problem within the APC. Let's do a state count. If you go to Osun State, there's problem in APC. Let's even start from Lagos State, where here we are. There's problem in the Lagos APC.
There's problem in Lagos in APC, but we can't deny the fact that the APC they've found a way to manage their problems.
No, they are not managing it. They are not managing it. One thing is that someone is coercing everybody into submission, and the day it will implode. It will be a problem. You go to the north, go to Kano, there's problem in the APC. Go to Kwara State, the Otoge movement, where there is Islam. Even in my own Abia State, there's problem in the APC. Go to Cross River State, there's problem in the APC. Just
covering up with the power of incumbency.
Exactly.
There is.
But see, Chukuma, you should understand that in Nigerian politics, what they do, if they cannot come and fight you physically, they crumble your party, they crumble your structure.
Exactly the point I'm making. So why is it that in all the movement, why haven't we seen one of the governors defect to APC from the north?
You know, the problem I have with Shore would have been the only guy that you cannot hijack his party. But the problem we have is that you know him playing sanctimonious game, that he's the most righteous and all that. If we can have somebody like Shore saying AAC, for instance, P2B, let's do this thing. I can tell you, nobody will penetrate. Because it's like he's in charge.
Showore understands his limitations.
Because
Showore understands that he can't be president of this country.
That's what I'm saying. If he can, I'm not saying he should run.
Okay.
That you know what, Peter,
no, he's running.
Why this party? That's what he's saying.
Use the party. Let's use AAC and salvage this nation. They cannot
Showore is not an Obi supporter. He doesn't like Peter.
No,
he doesn't like the name.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I said the kind of party that you can talk of people infiltration will be impossible. It's a party like AAC. Because there is nobody. Showore is the one, the arrowhead. So who are you going to bribe to penetrate the party? Who are you going to inject into the party to cause a pandemonium? You know, but you know he wouldn't listen. Even a Deja Deonju advised him that you know what, join this. He said no. But if you can come out and say P2B, let's use AAC.
So basically, the takeaway is P2B is in a fix.
Yeah, well, I don't want to actually.
No, Peter is in a bind. I said it before. He's in a fix. He's in a fix.
No, it's actually, a serious case because now is neither here nor there as we speak. Obedience are waiting.
And time is running
And
out.
time is running
Oh,
out.
well.
Yeah.
Dr. Brighton Neighbor Kuko, thank you very much for your first. You want to say something? Go ahead.
The ADC, for example, there were people there before these guys came. You see, something like this happened in Edo some time ago.
Okay.
You know? Okay. So the build-up of the 2016 governorship election, there were two candidates from, one was in APC. In fact, they were in APC.
We're running out of time. We're absolutely out of time. If you don't mind. Okay.
They left APC to PDP. And before you knew it, overnight, one of them was
All right.
Meanwhile,
Well, we're absolutely out of time, Dr. Brighton Ivakuko. Thank you very much for your thoughts there. I know the conversation gets very interesting each time we talk about Peter Obi and the political parties. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mecheta. We appreciate you. Chukwuma Okoro will be back here at 6 p.m. You want to tell us what to expect?
Yes, Bolaji Abdullahi, the interim national publicity secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, says that, look, that the president and APC, they are intimidating governors, and that is why they are not joining the ADC. We'll talk about that.
Wow.
Now, that is a conversation you shouldn't miss. 6 p.m. is the time, right here on VOP Television. Well, that's it on the show. On behalf of the backroom staff, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now.